Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Paper Rose Studios' Fairytale Christmas collection. This is a super sweet collection and there are lots of different products that are part of the collection. I'll be using the 6x6 papers, but these are both available in 12x12 if you prefer the larger size. I will have links in the description box, including one to the full Fairytale Christmas collection if you want to check out the other products. Before I get started on the cards, I'll show you the 5 different products I'll be using. I have both of the 6x6 paper pads and 3 of the coordinating embossed die cut packs. The first paper collection I'm showing you is the original Fairytale Christmas. There are 18 double-sided pattern papers, lots of really cute designs, and there are several sheets that include cut-apart images and sentiments. And if you don't care for those, you can always use the design on the back side. So there's a look at the 12 different designs included in the original Fairytale Christmas paper pad. I also have the Fairytale Christmas Basics collection. You can use the 2 paper pads together or on their own. The colors coordinate beautifully, so I love using them together. The Basics paper collection also includes 1 sheet with cut-apart images. There are also more tone-on-tone muted patterns in the Basic collection, which are really nice since they help tone down the busier designs. The designs with lots of images are also on a smaller scale in this Basics collection. I love the colors and the sweet little fairy images are so adorable. So here's a look at the 3 embossed die cut packs I'll be using. And if you're not a fan of the embossed die cuts, there's also a cut apart pack available. I'll show you the Fairytale Christmas pack first. All 3 of the embossed die cut packs include 4 sheets of 6x8 embossed pop-out die cuts. So no fussy cutting required, you simply pop out the die cut images. After I pop out all the die cut pieces, I like to go through with a pair of scissors and trim off the small white paper tab. That is optional, but I think it gives the image a cleaner look. So there are the cute designs, and you can see they match perfectly with the pattern paper. The next set is the Fairytale Christmas tags and tickets. This includes a really fun set of images and sentiments. And since they are embossed die cuts, they have that beautiful glossy detail finish. This set includes a really fun variety of images. There's a bird, florals, Christmas trees, Christmas stockings, nutcracker, there's a bell, candy cane, so many fun images, and they also match beautifully with the pattern paper. The last set I'll be using is the Fairytale Christmas Quick Cards Die Cut Pack. If you watch some of my previous Paper Rose videos, I love using their Quick Cards Collection Kit. These are the same 4 sheets that are included in the Quick Cards collection, and there is one for the Fairytale Christmas collection. If you like having duplicates, it's fun having an additional die cut pack. But you can also use this set on its own, and it coordinates beautifully with the 2 paper pads. So using the 5 products I just showed you, I have 5 different card designs to share. I will be using some card sketches for inspiration. For card design number 1, this sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 698. And if you're interested in the sketches I use, including measurements, I share all that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. With so many different designs in the 2 paper pads, I didn't really keep track of which design came from which paper pad, but for most of my cards, I am mixing the 2. I believe for this first card, The polka dot, the gingham, and the stripe paper are all from the basics, and the bell paper is from the original Fairytale Christmas collection. For the background of my card, I'm using the teal and white polka dot paper. I cut this piece to 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and I'm layering all of the pieces on some teal cardstock from my stash. For the cardstock layers, I add an additional 1/8 inch. So for that very background cardstock piece is 4 1/8 inch by 5 3/8 inch. Before adding the diagonal stripe piece, I'll first put some scrap cardstock and a scrap piece of pattern paper on the back side, just in the area where it goes off of the bell paper. That way it stays at the same level. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back and adhere the diagonal stripe rectangle in place. And I'm following the polka dots on the background paper to try to get it nice and straight. For a sentiment, I'm adding the word cheers, and this is one of the embossed die cuts. On the very right side, it has some pine cones and pine branches. Before adhering it down, I'll put the scrap piece of cardstock and pattern paper on the left side, just in the area where it goes off of the diagonal paper. Put adhesive on the back, adhere it in place. And I'm lining up the very left side of the sentiment with the left side of the bell pattern paper. Since 3 of the pattern papers are a muted design, I felt that the right side of the card needed an image. So I'll add the oval embossed die cut with the sweet little reindeer on the inside. And before adhering it down, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the back side, just the top area where it goes off of the stripe paper. For embellishments, I'm adding 3 small mini circle peel-offs. These are from Love from Lizi. I'm using the silver color, and this is the smallest size circle. Put 3 of them underneath the sentiment on the left side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards feature the same pattern paper and image. For the other 2 cards, I use a floral paper with birds for the background, added 2 different embossed die cut sentiments, and for a little extra detail, I added a small banner on the left side of the polka dot piece. Now moving on to card design number 2. The card sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 679. For the background of my card, I selected the pattern paper with the small fairy images. For the banner in the center of the card, I'm using one of the blue gingham pattern papers. I'll cut a fishtail on the bottom. And for the narrow strip that goes across the card, I'm using the pink polka dot pattern paper. I'll add that down first. And for a little bit of shine along the edge of the polka dot paper, I'll put a Love from Lizi peel-off. This is the pinstripe style in clear with silver overlay. So it's super shiny. I'm using the narrowest width. And since I will be covering up the very center, I don't need to add a strip all the way across the card. I'll wrap the ends around the back, and I'll layer this piece on some green cardstock from my stash. The pattern paper piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and the cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 inch. So 4 1/8 inch by 5 3/8 inch. I had to pause for a moment and refill my ATG tape. Now I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 inch of the white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Next, I'll add the blue gingham banner on the center of the card, lining it up flush with the top of the background pattern paper piece. With the large circle element on the sketch, I thought this would be the perfect time to use one of the large circle embossed die cuts, and these are included in the Quick Cards die cut pack. I did put foam dimension on the back. It's a fairly thin foam dimension, only 1 millimeter thick, but it does add that little extra dimension. After removing the release paper, I'll add the image. And for a sentiment, I'm using one of the embossed die cuts from the same Quick Cards die cut pack, Christmas Wishes. The top area of the sentiment will sit on the bottom of the circle image. So at the very bottom of the sentiment, I'll put foam dimension. On the top area, I'll add some glue. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 feature the same pattern paper. I have different images and sentiments. For the second 2, the background pattern paper has a bunch of lovely poinsettias. I used a pink gingham for the banner and added more of the embossed die cut images. And for that second set of cards, decided not to add a sentiment. I love the large circle embossed die cuts with the frame and then the image on the inside. They're so pretty. Now moving on to card design number 3. The card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 66. For one of the large rectangles, the one in front, I'm using a pink and white gingham. And at the very bottom, I'm adding a piece of white shimmer cardstock, and I cut a little hillside with a pair of scissors. I'll add that piece at the bottom of the pink and white gingham. For the rectangle that goes behind it at a different angle, I'm using some dark green cardstock, and I believe this cardstock is Jade by Basil. I'll adhere the 2 rectangles together, and I am changing up this sketch just a little bit. On the card sketch, there's a strip that goes across the card in front. Instead, I'll be adding a couple of peel-offs on the background pattern paper behind the pink gingham and green cardstock pieces. Using more of the pinstripe in clear with the silver overlay, using the widest and the medium width, I'll add them across the card about 1/3 up from the bottom. And I did use the grid lines on my craft mat to help get those nice and straight. I probably could have used some of this scrap since I am covering up most of the center of the card with the other pattern paper and cardstock pieces. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer the pattern paper piece on green cardstock, and that piece is an additional 1/8 of an inch. Then I'll put more adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I'll be adding 3 of the embossed die cut pieces, a lovely Christmas tree, a reindeer with a beautiful collar and bell, and the sentiment, Merry Christmas. I'm adding the sentiment in the lower left-hand corner, and I did put a foam square on the very left side of the sentiment to keep it nice and level. Next, I'll add the Christmas tree, putting it up just a little bit higher on the left side, and then the deer will go on the right side of the sentiment. And I will pop up just part of the deer. I'm putting foam behind the antlers, the head, and a little bit of the neck. I grabbed the small foam squares from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. I'll remove the release paper, then add glue behind the body and legs, and adhere the reindeer down. For embellishments, I'll add some clear crystals from Paper Rose. I'll pour out a small amount in a wooden bowl. Makes it a little easier to select the different sizes, since there are 4 different sizes in this mix. The wooden bowl also helps cut down on the static from the crystals. I'll put 3 in the upper right-hand corner of the pink gingham. Selected 3 different sizes there. And I'll put 2 in the lower left-hand corner using the 2 medium sizes. Since there's not adhesive on the back, I'll first add a small drop of Barely Art glue, and I picked up the crystals using the wax tip end of scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool. So there's my finished card, and again I did make 4 using this design. The second card I used the same pattern paper, just changed out the images and sentiments. And for the other 2 cards, I used a snowflake pattern paper for the background, a blue polka dot and blue cardstock. And for one of the cards, I put the image on the left side and the sentiment on the right side. For embellishments on the second set, I also used some more Love from Lizi peel-offs. Now moving on to card design number 4. The card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 63. With the 3 different squares, I thought this would be the perfect sketch to feature some of the cut apart images. I selected 2 little girl fairies, one with a bird, the other with a deer. For the background of my card, I'm using this peachy pink polka dot pattern paper. For the 3rd square, I'm using more of the pink gingham pattern paper. Since this is where I'll be adding the sentiment, I didn't want another cut apart image. I'm layering all of the pieces on some pinkish orange cardstock. I'll add the little fairy with the bird in the upper left-hand corner, put the gingham piece in the lower left-hand corner. And I'm following the polka dots on the background pattern paper to get those 2 left squares lined up. You can't always rely on a polka dot design being straight, so just make sure they look like they're straight before you're using them as a reference. Put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Before adding the final fairy cut apart, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the right side, just in the area where it goes off of the other pattern paper and cut apart pieces. I'm using a scrap piece of heavyweight white cardstock since it was sitting on my craft table. I'll put adhesive on the back, adhere this square down, and I'm putting it just a little bit lower. I don't want to cover up the fairy image in the upper left-hand corner. For a sentiment, I'm adding the word magic, and this is another embossed die cut piece. Before adhering it down, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock behind most of it. Just the very right side will sit on one of the cut apart images. For embellishments, I'll use more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in white. I'll put 3 of the largest size circles in the upper right-hand corner, following the design of the card sketch. And for a little extra detail, I'll put 2 more circles in the lower left-hand corner, using the medium and smallest size circles. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The other card used the same cut apart images, just a different sentiment. And for the last 2 cards, I used the bell pattern paper for the background, 2 more image cut aparts, and different embossed die cut sentiments. And for the peel-offs, I use the mini circles in silver. Now moving on to my final card design. This is Sketch Saturday number 680. For the background of my card, I selected this fun pattern paper with snow globes and snowmen. For the square panel, I'm using some of the pink polka dot pattern paper, and I'm layering it on some gold pearlescent cardstock. Gives it just that little bit of shimmer. I'll put adhesive on the back, add the square in the upper right-hand corner. For the narrow banner on the right side, I selected the pink diagonal stripe pattern paper. Before adhering that down, I'll layer the background on some teal cardstock. Put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. If you prefer a wider cardstock matting, you could cut that background piece to A2 size and not have the white card base showing. I'll cut a fishtail at the bottom of the diagonal stripe paper, and before adhering it down, at the very bottom part of the fishtail that hangs off of the square panel, I will add a scrap piece of cardstock and also pattern paper. That way it doesn't dip down at the bottom. The very top of the banner also goes off the edge, but it's such a small amount, I decided I didn't need to add any cardstock or pattern paper layers. Next, I'll add a stitch circle die cut, and I use some white shimmer cardstock. The circle dies are from Paper Rose. I'll put Barely Art glue on the back and adhere the circle down. This is where I'll be adding one of the embossed die cut images. This sweet little owl wearing a pink scarf with gold snowflakes. For a sentiment, I'll add Happy Holidays. This is another embossed die cut. And I'm putting the sentiment in the lower right-hand corner of the polka dot panel. Just the upper left-hand corner will sit on the circle, the rest will go off. So I will add a scrap cardstock piece behind it, and I'm putting an additional scrap piece on the very right side where it goes off of the banner. And I'll put glue on the back, adhere it down, and I decided for this card I'm not popping up the owl with foam dimension. Instead, I'll adhere it down using glue. And part of the scarf and branch will sit on top of the sentiment. To finish off the card, I'll add more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in gold. I'll put 3 in the upper left-hand corner and 2 in the lower right-hand corner. I used the gold color to match the gold pearlescent cardstock. So there is my finished card, and again I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards I used the same pattern paper for the background. For the last 2 cards I used the Nutcracker pattern paper for the background and added some Nutcracker and snowflake images. Now here's another look at the 20 Christmas cards I made using Paper Rose Studios' Fairytale Christmas collection. This is an adorable collection. I love the beautiful colors and designs. I use both of the 6x6 paper pads along with 3 of the coordinating embossed die cut packs. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. Paper Rose is located in Australia and they do ship their products internationally, but you can also purchase them here in the US, and I have links for both locations listed below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.